Hey y'all, my name's Seth Packan, and this is Podunk Perspective, a podcast based on the Podunk Perspective. Well, back here at Podunk Perspective, we got my man Lil'Skinny.
What's up, Seth?
Dude, I'm so happy to have you on.
Man, I'm happy to be here, man. It's been a while since I've done a podcast.
So for people outside of Nashville, if you live in Nashville, you know who Lil'Skinny is. But Lil'Skinny is the definitely one of the most fun people I know, but he's the guy that knows everyone. I feel like dude has so many stories, and he was definitely one of the first people I thought of when starting this podcast, and he's here today.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me, brother.
So you're an artist in town.
Yes, sir.
How'd you get into music? Like, what was your gateway into the music scene?
Man, it was by accident. So when I was living back in Arkansas, I thought when I was about 14, 15 years old, I was going to be a Methodist preacher and have a hunting dog kennel. So that was what my rest of my life was going to be. And I started preaching at the church, and then kind of started steering out of that and started playing music, started playing drums, like marching band stuff at school, and was really just like in love with music. Went to a bunch of concerts and stuff. And
what were some artists you grew up on?
Man, I grew up, so at that time, I was real big into like grunge. Like when I was like 12, 13, 14, I was like 90s grunge, like Toadies, Nirvana, and Pearl Jam. That's what I was into. And then when I hit the 15, 16 area, I went into blues music pretty deep. So I want to be like Stevie Ray Vaughan. And so when I was 15, I ended up joining this blues band up in Hot Springs, Arkansas. I was like 14 playing drums.
So you're from Arkansas?
Yeah.
What part?
So I'm actually from Nashville, Arkansas.
Dude, that's awesome.
And then when I was 15, we moved to Murfreesboro, Arkansas. And then later on, of course, I moved here. So, but I haven't moved to Murfreesboro till
Are they like small town? Like I've never heard of like Nashville, Arkansas, or Murphy. Like, are they small towns? Or?
Yeah, Nashville, Arkansas is 4,000 people around that estimate, and then Murfreesboro is like 1,600 people.
Wow.
So awesome. Yeah, so it's pretty small town living. Like, so where Murfreesboro, Arkansas is, there's only like, I think there's not a single red light in the whole entire county. There's a flashing light, but there's not a red light.
You go straight through.
It's all four-way stop signs, bro. Yeah, it's crazy, man. But no, when I was 15, I ended up being in this blues band, and I'll tell the story a lot, but we had just moved from Nashville to Murfreesboro, Arkansas, and we just got a piece of property with like 55 acres. And they had a 4-acre pond on the property, and we had a big house and some in the shop building and stuff. It was a redneck stream. I loved it. But when I first got there, I didn't have a flat bottom boat to fish that pond, and I really wanted to fish this pond. And so I went to my parents, like, hey, can I get a flat bottom boat? They're like, no, you're going to have to work for it. So I went looking around, trying to find like some, odd end jobs and stuff, and that wasn't working out. And I'm like, I need to find the biggest get rich quick scheme I can, get this flat bottom boat. Well, old man Epperson down the road had a flat bottom boat for sale out front of his yard. It had a for sale sign, and he wanted $300 for it. So I'm like, all right, all I need is $300 to get this boat, and I'm gonna go fishing. So I go looking around, and over in Hope, Arkansas, they had a competition at the Watermelon Festival called Watermelon Idol. As a talent show, and if you won it, the cash prize happened to be $300. It was perfect. I was like, all right, I'm going to win this talent show. I'll rehearse the song up. I'll go win this thing, and then I'll get back to fishing. I'm done. So it was really funny because I'd only been playing and singing for like 5 or 6 months. Like, I hadn't been playing and singing that long, and really hadn't been on stage hardly at all. So we go over to Hope, Arkansas, to this Watermelon Festival, and you had to like try out on a Tuesday to make top 5 to win the big money. So I go there, and there's like 20, 25 people, and I play my little song. Everybody's like, oh, man, you got this in the bag, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. They call it out. I don't make the top 5. I'm all pissed off and bummed, and like, man, I thought I won this thing. And I was all sad. And Mom's like, hey, since you ain't got plans on Saturday now, why don't me and you go up to Little Rock? Little Rock's having like the American Idol auditions. I said, Mom, if I can't make Watermelon Idol, how in the hell am I going to make American Idol? And she's like, let's go do it. I've always wanted to see the experience. No, let's go do it. I'm like, all right, so she talked me into it. Of course, we didn't know you had to be in a line so early, so we got there a little later in the morning, and we waited all day. And I didn't audition until like 8 or 9 o'clock that night. And they're like, hey, come back tomorrow. I'm like, okay, this might be something. And they're like, hey, can you come back in a couple of weeks to be in front of judges? And they're like, hey, you're going to Hollywood. And then it just kept snowballing. And so there's my middle finger to Watermelon Idol for not letting me get my flat bottom boat, but it turned out to working out in the long run. So, man, it's been quite the ride. And I've been chasing ever since, and I was looking for a boat and found a career.
That's wild. What were your audition songs? What type of music were you auditioning with?
So I was still wanting to do the blues thing, but I was still very beginner. So I did a song called "Stormy Monday," and on American Idol I said the Allman Brothers, but it's actually a T-Bone Walker song. But it's funny. So that's the only way they could get rights to the song, get through that artist's version. So it's funny how synchronization works, but like they could get sync rights by saying Allman Brothers rather than T-Bone Walker. So, but yeah, man, it was a cool experience. And then I went back to American Idol when I was 21, and then I brought my little brother that was 15 at the time, and he looked identical to what I did when I was 15. So that was our whole story.
And your brother does your brother does music too, right?
Yeah, man.
What type of music is he into?
We're night and day. He's into more like
give him a little shout out.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, little brother's JK Pop Star. Y'all go follow him on Instagram, all the stuff, man. He's the most talented singer in the family. I will say that. The dude can, sing the roof off this place.
I was at work the other day, and a music video was playing in our store, and I think it was your brother in it. It's a Lindsay L music video. Is that true?
Yeah, my little brother's in it. He's dancing in it. Yeah, man. That's him. That's funny. So me and him both did like a bunch of acting stuff. So it was funny when I first came to town. I couldn't get music gigs because the competition was so high. And so I started doing acting stuff through like his little forum. So I was getting all these emails that were going to my email that he was getting acting gigs from. So I would just go through there and I found a background in music video or background in movie or background in TV show. And it'd be like $150, $200, $300, and I was just doing those to
Was
stay alive.
This something that you came up to of doing, or was it something like your mom or like your parents were pushing you to do? Like
this was something my brother came up doing, and I just needed some cash in Nashville, and there was all local stuff in Nashville that kept sending in, and it was funny because there's not just a ton of film in Nashville, but it seemed like that moment, that 3 or 4 or 5 month span, there just happened to be a lot of projects, and they're looking for people, so. There was 3 or 4 months I just was steadily like every week I had an acting gig or two. So I was like background in a Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran music video.
No way.
And then I was in like a Hallmark movie with Jenna Kramer and Mario Lopez.
What?
Yeah, I did a bunch of stuff. Like you can find me. I was in Adam Dolyak music video. That one gets played a lot. I get a lot of pictures from that one.
Lil'Skinny's an actor too. He's not just an artist.
I guess my biggest role was, this was so funny when I started doing that, Taylor Austin Dye had me in her Rest in Peace music video, and I was J. Michael Adams, and they killed me, and I was an abusive husband, which was like so outside of my character. It was the weirdest thing ever, but they loved it, and it was a cool music video. I think it has like 3.5 million views now, but it's crazy. But that's what I was doing. I was Skinny the actor when I moved to town, and then once I started getting music stuff, I was like, acting is not my calling.
Yeah. So now that you have a few songs out and stuff, you're kind of fitting into your own artistry.
Man.
What type of music are you looking to put out, and like what type of music have you been putting out?
Man, we've kind of been chasing a little bit of the scene of what's kind of going cool right now that fits my brand. So we were kind of doing more of a modern version of like a Southern rock kind of foundation, but kind of going towards a more contemporary radio type sound. But this next record, we haven't started recording yet, but this next record when I go to studio, I really want to do like a mashup of like 90s Matchbox 20 songs, but record them like the band, Levon Helm, and do a cool thing there. So
that's so cool. And it's funny because a lot of people, when they come to Nashville, right, they just assume it's country music, it's boots and cowboy hats. But I mean, you see it too, like being in the music industry, obviously, but it's way more than just country music.
Man, it's crazy. Nashville's becoming kind of like LA. It's a melting pot for a lot of different scenes and industries and genres, and it's really cool to kind of see the creativity here. That's like going back to my little brother. We're night and day when it comes to music perspective. Like he's more into like let's say like Olivia Rodrigo or Harry Styles or who's the one blowing up right now? Pink Pony Club.
Nolan, Pink Pony Club. Who is that?
Chapel Rowan,
Yeah.
yeah, that kind of thing. That's more what he's into, and that's not what I'm into. So
Yeah.
it's like night and day. But that's what's the cool thing about Nashville is that it's been a great place for me and my brother because there's all kinds of scenes for us to adapt here.
Did y'all move here at the same time?
No, so I was here for a year and a half before he moved here. So he was still in high school, and so once he graduated high school, he moved out here and he goes to Belmont, and so he's so he's on his second semester sophomore year.
Yeah.
So
Damn. Did you do the college thing or like?
yeah, man, I went to school on a guitar scholarship.
Yeah.
I went to fine arts school and got a music business degree. I didn't learn much in that music business degree. It was funny. I go to school 4 or 5 days a week, and then I would travel 2 or 3 days on the weekend, and I'd learn more out on the road, booking my own gigs, managing myself, doing all that stuff than I did actually in college.
Yeah, no, it's funny. We talked about this on a previous podcast, actually. But when I moved down here, I did 2 years at a community college, just marketing, basic stuff.
Yeah.
Moved down here, had plans to go to MTSU, but once I moved down there, it was like the spring, and then I had the whole summer to like make a lot of connections and meet a lot of people. And by the time it was ready for school to start, I was like, I'm making way too many connections. I mean, way too many people, you know, like I got a good job. Like I can't mess this up right now. Things are flowing, you know? And it's funny because I feel like, especially in the music industry or the entertainment industry, there's no college for it.
No.
There's no, it's constantly changing. So what they're teaching you, you know, is 30 years behind of what's actually really going on.
100%. It was definitely, it felt like it was, a few years, 5-10 years behind. Some of the stuff was valid, but like when it came to actually doing, like they were moving so slow, they didn't know what EPK was or a one sheet or like all the stuff that you were needing to get gigs. I'm like, hey, this is stuff we need to be talking about because like I didn't know what.
And
was
you're
doing.
paying them a lot of money, you know, to teach you stuff that is just the basics.
There's a part of a really good deal I had with my parents, man. If I didn't have my parents in my life, I wouldn't be anywhere of what I've done success wise, but. For the little I've gotten to be a part of, but no, my parents really pushed me to be better, and that was the deal I made with them. Is if I went and got them a 4-year degree, then they would help me and support me.
That's awesome.
Nashville, so
that's awesome. So were your parents big into music?
Yeah, they were big music fans, but me and my brother are the only people in my family that did music. We had a great grandmother that taught piano lessons in the local area, like many moons ago, but that was about it.
What were some of the artists that your parents were listening to when you guys were growing up?
So mom was like into like 90s gangster rap. So she was like, she was like Eazy-E, and I got her like a lot of Eminem and like stuff like that growing up. Of course, Biggie and Tupac, and like that was Snoop Dogg. That was all my mom was into. My dad was a 90s rocker, like just growing, but he listened to all kinds of rock and roll. So like it was cool, like growing up, like by the time I was age 11 or 12, I knew every name of a rock band. I knew most of their songs. I knew who played in the rock band. Like my dad, we would just ride around, listen to rock and roll stations. He'd quiz me. Hey, who's that? Who's the lead singer of that band? Well, who played drums? Who's the famous guitar player in that band? And I was like, oh, that's Guns N' Roses. That's Slash. Oh, that's, Led Zeppelin. That's, John Paul Jones on the bass. Or that's, I just, by the time I was 12 or 13, I knew all that stuff from my dad because my dad was a big music fan. And
have you seen that's kind of helped you since moving to Nashville? Like just knowing songs, being able to like get up on stage and know the songs by heart,
Yeah, man, it was really cool because like I didn't really start adapting, like knowing the lyrics, knowing the songs until I was, on up and, playing a lot of gigs. So like that's when that craft came. But it's been really cool with conversation with a bunch of these guys that have a like-minded interest. Like I've gained a lot of older friends that are, some of the legends and, in the songwriting world and the music industry, just because I'm able to talk shop about, hey, you remember this band, you remember that band, you remember this record and stuff. So I feel like that's where that really played a role in what I got to do, because it was a lot of stuff that like, man, there's not a lot of people my age that, remember like, old 50s and 60s and 70s rock bands that were just so iconic. And I wish a lot of people my age, realize that.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like after this whole like 90s country thing kind of comes and passes, I feel like 80s rock, that's going to be like the next thing.
I can see 80s, 90s rock, and it's tried to, because, I say that Texas is the new Seattle, where you've got Treaty Oak and Co. and
Yeah.
all these, and Austin Mead, shout out to my boys Dylan Wheeler, like all that bunch down there. And I love all those guys, and they're like brothers to me. But I think it's kind of the new Seattle, and like rocks went from Seattle to Texas, and so you got this Texas rock scene mixing in with this country scene, and this '90s thing is coming back, and then you got all this crazy crap going over here, and
It's actually wild to think about. Even like just growing up as a kid, you're like, okay, like country's country, pop's pop. You have R&B artists, but now it's all over the
it's
map.
either good or it's bad, brother.
Like, basically, if you tell an artist that you have to be in this box, they ain't gonna stay in that box. You know,
100%, yeah.
and I find that cool. I think especially today in country music, why it's so big is it has so many different avenues, right? You have your country rock, your country pop, country rap. There's something for everyone. You know, but at the same time, it still kind of has that co-label of country to it. Which is pretty cool. What do you like with this whole Post Malone, Beyonce, the Grammys, this whole movement? Give me your opinion on it.
I'm gonna stay real neutral on it. I think it's great for the country music scene, and especially for Nashville, because it's given a lot of great people. Because a lot of people want to be negative about it, and you can be negative, and it's not country, it's not this. But I mean, we've been fighting this for test times. A lot of people, there's a lot of people that are big about when the Beatles blew up, and then there's a lot of people that are against it. So you're always gonna have the lovers and the haters. So that part really doesn't bother me. I just don't want to see it go away, because it's given a lot of great people that are the writers and the publishers and the producers a chance to make a living. And so that's what I want to see happen, because it's given a lot of great people, a steady life and a steady living. And so, yeah, man. So I support Post and Beyonce and all of them coming into the to the music scene. I wish, political views would get kind of taken out of it.
Absolutely.
But that's my personal opinion. As long as it helps the scene and it's for the right reasons, I support it. But soon it isn't, then there's that.
Because I mean, as much as people aren't admitting, I mean, you still have new songwriters that were on Beyonce's album that just helped their career so much. And
a lot of them are good people, and they write a bunch of other songs for guys, hopefully like me one day, or write with me, or different people that like you see it happen all the time. You may have somebody that writes with Megan Roney that also writes with Zach Top that also writes with somebody completely outside of the country music scene. So
it's definitely it's a little bit different when it comes to writing. It's not there's no genre for a writer necessarily, right?
100%.
You can write a song, and that song can fit 5 different genres.
Right, and I'm all about the good song wins. If the song's bad, the song's bad. Mm-hmm. But if it's a good song, then I support the song no matter who's singing it.
Yeah, for sure. So when you step in the studio, what's kind of your process of like, okay, this is what I want to make a killer tune sound like?
So we still kind of do old school. So we go in and track a band, and so we bring the whole band in and we track them. We'll do a session or 2 sessions, sometimes a double session in a day, and then we'll bring a band in, and we'll just start taking the song one by one, and we'll start off with the work tape, and everybody comes in, we'll chart it out, and then I'll just kind of just give key points of, hey, I want this here, and then kind of let the band take their own creativity to it. And then I'll add stuff if it's like a big thing that's going to change, the time frame or any of the tempo or stuff. Then we'll figure that out in the room. But if not, then we'll go back and add layers over the top of it later and stuff. So
Cool. Do you have any wants or plans to maybe collab with some artists in town?
Yeah, man. I've got a cool collab in the can. We haven't released it and haven't put a release date on it, but I've got a song that I did with Ward Davis that I'm hoping to get out pretty soon. So I'm really excited about that. And then I've written some songs with some other big artists that I'm excited to hopefully share one day, and hopefully we'll get to do some versions together and stuff. So I'm really excited about 2025 and what it has to hold. So
yeah, that's awesome. So do you plan to do a lot of traveling this year?
Yeah, man. I headed to Utah in a couple weeks. Got got a bunch of big stuff van. We'll be in Key West before you know it.
Yep.
Which I'm always excited about that.
Oh, I love that's such a good time. It's such a good time. The weather, the vibes.
Yeah,
for people that don't know, it's Key West Songwriter Festival. Basically, the whole city of Nashville. If you're in the music industry, doing something, making movement, you get invited down to Key West, and they turn Key West into Nashville. Basically, all these bars.
A lot of time. Yeah. Scooper comes out.
How many years have you been doing it?
I've went twice.
Okay,
so
cool.
The first one, a bunch of my friends were mad at me because I didn't go, but I had to go back home to walk across stage at college and get my diploma. So I didn't go the first year I was here, but I've been the last two. And man, is that time. I've had a blast.
And I bet you get to make some good connections, meet some cool people down there.
Yeah, man. It's been a really good time. My running crew seems to be me, Tyler Reeve, and Stormy Warren. We'll get in a golf cart. I always rent a golf cart every year. And we'll take a golf cart and, we'll get a few drinks and just drive that golf cart. And they'll call me up. I don't hear from Stormy until Key West, and he'll call me up and go, Scooper, where you at?
Oh.
And we'll
awesome.
ride. So I normally stay down there from Tuesday to Tuesday.
Yeah. So Stormy does stuff on the highway. Great dude. He does a lot of MC stuff down in Key West while the festival is going on. When you're down there, when you're hanging out with these Nashville people, what's your goal? Like, what's your goal to further your career when you're down there?
Man, I try not to think about it like that, especially when I came into town. A lot of people, when their boots hit the ground, they're thinking like, okay, how can I get, the most famous, or how can I get the most rich, or how can I get the most, established music scene? And I tell everybody all the time, man, it's really not about that. Like, I just came here, I was like, man, everybody said it's a 10-year town. Yep. I got time. I know I'm not going to make it famous tomorrow. So I just need some friends. And it was funny. That's the approach I went. It's like, I just want to have a good time with some cool folks. And, man, if they do some cool stuff, then cool, let's hang out. If they don't, let's still have a beer and hang. If you're a cool hang, you're a cool hang. And when I went about it, that mentality, doors started opening up, and I wasn't even realizing it.
Bro, and I think people see that. I think like that, like you walk around with that personality of you are just a good hang,
hey, you want a shot?
Yeah, people want to be around Lil'Skinny no matter what it is, right? Because you're gonna be positive, you're gonna have a good time, nothing's gonna ruin your day.
No, man, there ain't no reason, man. Life's too short to sweat the small shit. I tell everybody all the time, man. It's all about just living in the moment, and I know the good things are gonna come if you surround yourself with good people. And so, just like yourself, man, we've had some good times down here in Midtown. So.
Oh yeah, good old losers. We were just talking about a story right before we started this. So back a few years ago, when was this? They did a whiskey jam. Whiskey jam? Raise Rowdy.
No, it's still Whiskey Jam. So Whiskey Jam was still there doing the outdoor series.
Yeah.
And Hardy played.
Yep.
And Hardy was playing, and I can't remember. There was a couple. So when C Mayfest. Back when they did C Mayfest, the 3 days before C Mayfest started, Whiskey Jam would do an outdoor series Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night. And so they would have somebody big every night, and we'd try to go to them. So I can't remember. I know we were talking about because I would go sit at.
Was it the Hicks Tape Takeover or something like that?
Hicks Tape Takeover. Hardy played full band. He had a bunch of different people. I think Keith Urban joined him, and it was dude, it was a wild one. Can't remember. I know I was around there. I don't remember exactly where I was when all this happened, but I'll never forget. So I used to play when I first came to town. My first gig was at Losers.
Yeah,
and so I had a house gig there. And that's how I got to meet a lot of people was through Losers.
Great people, Losers people, great.
Yeah, man. I mean, Irv and Steve and them guys really gave me a platform to launch myself, and I'm forever grateful for those guys, man. Shout out to Irv. Rest in peace, man. That guy was a saint and gave me an opportunity that nobody else was willing to do. So I love those Losers guys, but I'll never forget that particular concert me and Seth were talking about. The front porch patio was nothing but wood, and they had so many people on it, it collapsed, and they thought it busted a gas line, and they had to shut a gas line off, so they moved everybody out the street, and there's just thousands of people out this street. It was chaos.
Yeah. I remember I was at work that day, and I was supposed to go, and then I was running late, and I get a call from the people I was going with. They're like, don't come down here. You ain't getting in. They ended up moving it, right?
No, they kept it there. So what they did was, the alley between Losers and Dogwood, they opened that gate up and everybody entered around the patio.
Damn.
So it made it even smaller.
Oh.
And so it didn't matter if you were in there already, and the line restarted again. And it was just whoever was close to that gate got to go in, and they just started piling people in there. And I think a half of everybody that was in there got to go back in. But
well, fast forward so many years later, right? That's when they did all the construction. And
yeah, man.
Got duck blinded now instead of
Winters is gone. Duck blind's there, man. Had a lot of great memories at both of those places. I'll never forget. One of my favorite memories was at Whiskey Jam. It's so in honor of Valentine's Day. You know, guess when is Valentine's Day?
Next week.
Yeah, next week.
Friday.
No. It's not today. Yeah, Friday. So in honor of Valentine's Day coming up, I'll never forget. I was at Whiskey Jam on Valentine's Day night, being single and just out there, you just being a menace. And it was at the old Winters, and I had been here for just a few weeks, and I hadn't been here very long. And Ronnie Dunn came and crashed Whiskey Jam.
Damn.
It was so cool. And he came up with my buddy Tom Perkins. I didn't know Tom at the time, but he came and played with Tom, and I'll never forget this. He said, "Hey, I love y'all so much. Happy Valentine's Day. Let's do some Brooks and Dunn songs." And he did like 5 Brooks and Dunn songs, and that was the most fun I had in Nashville.
That's so crazy because actually Tom Perkins too was one of the first people I met when I moved to Nashville.
I do. Tom is such a great guy, man. I love that guy. He is cool as country gets, man.
He flies planes, right? Like that's that's his job.
Yeah, he's a pilot.
But he writes songs too. Like he's a songwriter as well. He's been around for a while.
Yeah, he's been around for a while. And I'll never forget, I was standing with Randy Rogers watching Ronnie Dunn. And Randy's been one of my idols as a songwriter. So standing with my idols, watching one of his idols, it was just like, this is where Nashville. This is where I'm supposed to be. Nashville's the place for me. Yeah, dude. So it was super cool, man.
That's so cool. It's definitely something that I never thought I could do. Living back home with a few thousand people back in my hometown, I was like, oh, I'm never getting out of here growing up. And all of a sudden, that senior year hit and college started flowing. I was like, oh, it's time to get out of here. It's time to go. It's time to scoot. And I feel like this town has done a lot of justice for me. Just being able to express who I am as a person, whether it's showing how big of a fan I am in country music or doing this podcast right here. And how do you feel like you can express yourself more as a person moving here and putting out music and doing that whole thing?
Yeah, man. It's so at your fingertips now. The music industry is so crazy how you're able to, go over to a buddy's house and, whip up a track on his computer and have something done pretty close to, finish in an hour or 2 hours. It's kind of cool how, the music scene in Nashville, has built that creativity to a whole, to be just, able to, hey, let's go send this demo to somebody,
Yeah. Have you had any like cool late night writes or some writing rooms you didn't think you would be in or something like that?
Yeah, man. One of the coolest writes for me was, so I was at a pitch meeting and Slade was throwing out songs, about, would this be something that you might want to, write or cut, or that's something, you'd be about singing. And so I'm sitting there, this pitch meeting, she throws out some songs and I'm just like, no. And then she threw out one, I'm like, hey, I love that song. She's like, okay. So she said, give me a second. So he goes around the room to some other publishers and they start throwing out some songs. And after they start throwing out some songs, she says, hey, I want another stab at him. I want to throw some more songs at him. She threw like 3 or 4 more. And I'm like, I love all of those songs. And she goes, well, that's Bob DiPiero and Jeffrey Steele. And I'm like, of course I love all those songs. Those are my favorite writers. And she's like, I'll get you right with them. And I'm just like, there's no way. Yeah. But okay, I love the sound of that. Well, soon enough, I see on my schedule through my publisher that I have a write with Bob DiPiero and Jeffrey Steele. And I'm more just like a kid at a candy store. So, a few weeks go by. And I end up going to writing with them, and we knocked out 2 songs in like 2 or 3 hours. Yeah. And just had a blast. And Jeffrey's became one of my close friends now, and we got a lot more writes in the show coming up together. And like, it's so cool how, those little moments that you think are so out of reach turn into, reality.
Yeah.
And I've been very blessed. But
in 3 years, right?
Yeah, man.
Like you said, you've been here for 3 years. I'm coming up on 3 years too, and
yeah, man.
the amount of stuff that has happened, it feels like it's been 10 years.
Right, dude. That's the thing about it. Some days it feels like I just moved here yesterday, and some days it feels like I've been here for eternity.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of late nights. I just tell everybody I never stay at home. Like, you can't get nothing done sitting on the couch. So I'm always out meeting people and being social and trying to stay out of trouble.
No, actually, I was out at NFR this year, and I saw you out in Vegas.
No, you didn't. You didn't see me out there. Nobody saw me out there. I'm just kidding.
How was that?
Oh, it was a wild time, man. Dude, it's like my little brothers, Rocker Steiner, bareback rider out there, rides in the NFR every year. And Rocker and I have become really close friends. We met 3 NFRs ago. That's how we based our friendship. But three NFRs ago, we were talking about each other's rings, and he showed up to a show when me and Chris Enrucci still had a duo together. And we were out in Vegas and having a good time. And me and Rocker proceeded to party and everything, and we became buddies. And before him and his dad even got out of Vegas, they were driving home, and they called Jimmy Ritchie, which is my producer now, and that's how I end up getting my deals and stuff. And so NFR holds a special place in my heart. I met a lot of great people out there, and I went out there this year with Ag Gear. Big shout out to Ag Gear. I've been excited to join their team recently, and we've been doing a lot of cool things with PBR and NFR in the rodeo world. And
so what's that experience like? Like, do you find that like the people that are out there partying, out there for the rodeo, they love your music, they love when you perform?
It's a great country fan base.
Yeah,
man. I've had some wild times. We ended up partying with T-Pain out there this year, and we ended up getting a table, and T-Pain came and joined our group, and it was wild. That's all I can say about that. But the rest of the night was history. I think there's one point that I lost a vest, a shirt, and I was down to a leather jacket, bare chested.
That's awesome.
It was a good time. Vegas, if you don't watch, they'll take your money and then your clothes. But it was a lot of fun.
Dude, that's so sick. So when you're going out there, do you find that playing in front of these people, like, it really helps your following and
man,
that type of thing?
Yeah, man. I'm always been a live player, man. I'm not happy unless I play 100, 200 shows a year.
So you were never nervous? Like, it was always easy for you to get up on stage type thing?
When I was younger, I had a lot of nerves, but I feel like being on American Idol the 2 different times and going out and doing that thing, it really set up, it kind of took that barrier off.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, of course, you get some kind of nerves, but it's more of a anxiety, not like an anxious thing. It's not, it's more of a, hey, I can't wait to do this. It's more of adrenaline than really nerves, a nervous sense. But yeah, man, I love it. I feel more comfortable at times on stage than I do out in the crowd.
It's so cool. No, I remember, so I'm out in Vegas, and me and my buddy, we get done with work, and we're partying, we're having a good time, and I'm feeling good, and I happen to stumble into a bar, and all of a sudden, I close my one eye, and I look, I go, that's Lil'Skinny up on stage. I go, shit, dude, I'm going to watch him. So me and my buddy go walk in, we sit in, we listen to you, dude, and you were killer, dude.
Thank you, man.
It's great.
That was a wild night. That was a good time. That was when we did our big Ag Gear party, and we had a lot of cool guys in the rodeo industry come through, and a lot of different influencers. I think Hudson Westbrook came up and jammed with us at one time. And I was playing with my good buddy Tom Yankton. Tom was in Rascal Flatts for a bit, played guitar for them, and dude, Tom is one of the most talented. He played harmonica, fiddle, guitar.
I love Rascal Flatts,
dude. Tom's the man. He's awesome, man. Tom's such a talented dude.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. So you're well connected, dude. I feel like you're friends with a pretty cool guy, golfer. His name's John Daly.
Yeah, I get this a lot. Yeah, man.
How did that come about?
So yeah, John calls me his son. He's like my second dad. I call him Pops all the time. And man, it was just over several years. So I'm originally from Arkansas, Woo Pig. I always wear a Razorback ring. Big Razorback fan. And one of the guys, so when this is a wild story. So I didn't know any of these people when I was in Arkansas. I met them here, but it's all Arkansas connections. But when I first came to town, Irv gave me my first job over at Losers. but they started me off at Winners, and then they started me off at Doghouse. So I called them the shitty shifts. I would play like 11 to 2 on Sunday, and I'd play like all these odd, and I would get some of the better shifts, but it was like when people canceled, and I'd pick them up. And so I just always had to stay ready. Well, I'd play these shitty shifts over at Doghouse, and I'm playing there, and there's, dude, I'm not shitting you. There's maybe 6 people, including the bartenders in there. Like, there's not many people. There's this great tall dude that's up front, and I'm like playing some songs. He's jiving my stuff, and I get a notification on my phone because I'm like reading some of the tabs and stuff. I get a notification on my phone that says Ryan Mallett followed you. And I'm like, is that the quarterback from Arkansas, Ryan Mallett? Like, that dude's a legend back home. And I'm like, so I just get on the mic, and I'm like, if your name's Ryan Mallett, fuck you. Just like that. He goes, hey, how do you know who I am? And I'm like, dude, I'm from Arkansas, Woo Pig. He's like, Woo Pig. And so we like just had a great time. And so I get done playing. I'm like, dude, can I get pictures? He's like, yeah, he takes pictures. He's like, dude, what are you doing the rest of the day? It's like, man, I ain't got nothing. I probably go home, do some laundry stuff. He says, we're going drinking. Wow. So we like, dude, this is like 2:00 on a Sunday. Love this. Like in the spring, like it was like March, and it was a beautiful day. And we went to Live Oak, and we went to Red Door, and we went to Losers. And I mean, we're all hammered by like 6, 7 o'clock. Yeah. I Ubered home, and it was so cool. Me and him became real good buddies. But to get to Daly, we were so we were hanging out, and Ryan had took some videos of me up on stage, and when he started filming, he sent to John Daly and Justin Moore. Well, Justin didn't respond, but John did, and was like, hey, who is that kid? And he's like, this is Lil'Skinny. And he goes, I'm going to keep an eye on that kid. That kid's pretty good. And I don't think anything of it. Well, I worked my way into Losers 4 or 5 months later, and I'm playing on stage at Losers, and John walks in. And I'm like, oh, there's John Daly. So, like, I get off stage, and I go, like, introduce myself. He goes, hey, you're that kid that Ryan Mallett sent me a video of like months later. Damn, he remembered. He remembered. That's what's so cool. As much as people see John out partying, drinking all the time, he is sharp as a tack. He fucking remembers. He remembers. He's like, dude, he's like, let's party, let's drink and everything. We sent a picture to Ryan, and it was so cool. And of course, you know, Ryan's passed on since then. But yeah, man. But me and John just stayed in touch, and he started coming in more, and then it got to where he had me come play guitar for him, and he called me and said, hey, kid, you want to come down there to the gym with some knocking on heaven's doors or something like that? And I'd get up and well,
a lot of people don't know, like, unless you live in Nashville or I follow John Daly close, he's not just a golfer, he's an artist.
Yeah, man.
He puts out music and stuff.
Yeah, man, we written several songs together and stuff.
That's so cool.
Yeah, man, and like, dude, they'll be like, when he's in town, I'll hang out with him every night, and he calls me his son, and then his kids started calling me their brother, and and we just became like family, and we've traveled a lot of. I've got a lot of great John Daly stories, man. We've traveled a lot of miles together. So that's awesome. Yeah, man.
His son's a golfer too, right?
Yeah, man, little John. That's my little bro.
He went to.
He's still at U of A. He's a senior at U of A.
Dude, that's so cool. So. Do you hang out with him too, or?
Yeah, man. I've hung out with him several times. I've got some great stories.
Are you a golfer?
Man, so they've started to get me into it. I am absolutely dog shit trash. Yeah. But I will go out and golf and have a good time. I'm mainly just a designated cart driver and drinker, but
yes, sir. He's got a pretty cool car. I see that picture on your Instagram.
Yeah, the Cowboys deal. So he has one for each golf course.
Damn, bro.
That he has. So he has one in Arkansas. It's got the Razorback on it. It's shaped like that, shaped like the Rolls Royce, and then he's got one here. It's he's got the Cowboys stuff on it. But yeah, man. Me and John had some good times. There was one time he kidnapped me.
Really?
It's a funny
Let's
story.
hear it.
Yeah, it's a funny story. So I had been celebrating with my girl at the time down in Gainesville, Florida for my birthday, and the hurricanes came in, and I had to beat the hurricanes. So I got up at 4:30 in the morning, and I drove 9.5 hours from Gainesville, Florida to here. And I get here, and so we had hung out on my birthday. It was the day after my birthday. I drive up here, and John calls me, he says, hey, was your damn birthday yesterday? I was like, yeah. He said, you didn't tell me? I said, no, sir. He said, I'm up here at Old Hickory. So you're in town? I said, yeah, Pops, I just drove like 9 hours. I just got back to town. I'm fixing to take a nap. He said, no, come to Old Hickory right now. we'll celebrate your birthday. And I'm like,
It's one of those moments where like, I need some sleep, but I have to do this.
I was like, well, I'll go. Well, I never tell him no, and I have a hard time saying no's. You probably have seen in the past, I have a hard time. I have a FOMO and a fear saying no. So I go and I get there to the Old Hickory and we start drinking, and they end up getting me a little birthday cake and stuff, and we have a little dinner there at the country club, and we jam on some songs, we wrote some stuff, and he's like, all right, let's go. So it's Skinny's birthday. We got to go celebrate. We got to go to Losers. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, we're going to Losers. Well, we go to Losers, and by this point, it's plumb near blackout. Yeah. And we get hammered. And at some point, I don't remember, agreed to it. I agreed to going down on his bus with him to Alabama for the Dean Dillon tribute. And so he was playing with Larry Fleet, him and Larry Fleet doing a tribute to Dean Dillon, and everybody was down there, you know, George Strait, Cody Johnson, like all these people doing a tribute to Dean. Well, he's like, man, we're going down there. It's just going to be for the night. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll go, just drunk and everything. Well, I wake up 10:30, 11, and John's just calling me over and over. And I wake up and say, huh? What's going on? You know, just kind of hungover, you know, still probably maybe a little drunk. I answered the phone. I said, hey, what's happening? And he goes, are you getting on the bus or not? I said, getting on the bus? He said, yeah, we're going to Alabama. I'm like, oh, shit, I don't know why we're going to Alabama. He said, I was like, how long do I need to pack for? We'll be back tonight. I'm like, all right. So I go get on the bus, and they're all waiting on me, and I grab all my stuff. And, I mean, it got to the point, I mean, I have hanging clothes. I didn't even hardly pack. I've got hanging clothes, a hat box. I mean, they gave me shit about it. I got all this stuff. And I'm like, I grabbed it as soon as I could. I didn't want to keep y'all. I'll pack it while we're on the bus. Yeah. So I'm like packing my bag while we're going down the road. We get down to Alabama. Come to find out, that was rehearsals that night, and we had the show the next day. And I was like, the next night, and I'm like, okay, so I'm down here for a while. So we do that night. We do the show the next night, and then we end up staying. I thought we were going back that night. We end up staying that night and come back later the next day. So I ended up like 1 day trip coming back from Gainesville, turned into like 4 days with John. And we just proceeded to get hammered with everybody, and it was the best time. There was one point that I like had to break into my hotel room with somebody that I barely knew in it, and it was a wild trip. Me and Michael Ray like had to talk to the front desk lady into giving me a hotel key. Damn. Yeah, it was wild. I kind of knew the dude I was supposed to be staying with, but. I didn't know his name, so we dropped names forever before the hotel, the lobby. The lady's like, "Oh, you hit the right one. Here's your key." And I'm like, "That's all it took. All I needed to know was the name on the room to get a hotel key." But yeah, man. So like that was a wild trip.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So was he just cashed out? He was sleeping and he couldn't get out?
Yeah. I just couldn't get a hold of him. He was this is a dude. He's a buddy of mine now, but like he was just he's clocked out and he was sleeping in there. Dude, and of course me, Michael, and John kept partying. But it was a good time, man.
Damn, dude, that's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah, Papa John's the best.
Yeah. So go back to Arkansas. What was the Lil'Skinny like? Growing up in high school, that whole thing.
Yeah, man.
Playing sports, or music, like what was that like?
I didn't I played some baseball, growing up as a little kid. I was big into hunting dogs, so me and my dad had hunting dog kennels. So my dad's nickname was Skinny, so I was Lil'Skinny.
That's sick.
So we had Skinny Boys kennels. Yeah. And so I grew up raising foxhounds, and so all my best friends were like 50, 60-year-old men. Yeah. And I just didn't really care about what people my age were doing. So it was a great way to grow up. I was blessed to do it, and I really loved it. And so that's what I was doing. I was hunting and fishing and running dogs. And that's what I kind of did till I was 15 and 16, and then when I was in high school, I didn't go to either one of my proms. I was playing at bars every night. Yeah, living a dream.
Well, were you a lady slayer back in high school?
Man, no, I was not. I didn't drink in high school. I didn't party in high school. I didn't. I wasn't the wildcat you see now. Yeah. But I guess I was making up for lost time. But it wasn't till about halfway through college I started going to little parties, and it wasn't until I came out here before I really started getting in the party scene and started hanging out.
Do you go back home and play a lot?
Yeah, man, I do. There's some venues I love. Like So one of my favorite videos I cut my teeth on was the Big Chill in Hot Springs, and then there was Fat Jacks in Texarkana that I played. I don't play any of those dive bars anymore, but I still go back. One of my really good buddies is Chris King at Stickies in Red Room in Little Rock, and that's been one of the any Red Dirt artist or anybody on their come up will tell you about some of the epic moments and epic concerts happened at Stickies in Red Room. And I remember seeing Jelly Roll on the bill there 5 or 6 years ago. I remember seeing Whiskey Myers there. I saw Cadillac 3 there. I saw Reed Southall Band before there, Southall. Dude, I remember, so one of my favorites, just being down there. So I was an hour north of Texarkana, an hour south of Hot Springs, 2 hours south of Little Rock, and an hour and a half east of Broken Bow, Oklahoma, and 2 hours from Shreveport, Louisiana. So I had all of these, towns that had all these Red Dirt acts going through them all the time that it would cost at the time, $10 to $30 for a ticket to go see any of those guys. And one of the most influential moments was my first week of college. I went to a Baptist school, so I went to Washita Baptist, and then across the street was Henderson State University, which was like a state school, and that was party school. You had the Baptist school that it was like a lot of people drank, but they kept it hush hush, and then there was the party school across the road. If you really want to go have a good time, you go there, and there's a highway that divided the two campuses. So you just walk across the highway and go to Henderson. And I'll never forget my first week of college. I was transitioning, like, what am I doing out of the blues music? Because I couldn't make no money doing blues music. And I walked across the street and I paid like $10 or $15. And I saw Whiskey Myers and Co Wetzel. And Co Wetzel had just put out Noise Complaint, first album. Dude, and it was a time to be alive.
I could not imagine.
I have some friends to this day still be like, man, we missed out not going to that concert because I had bought several tickets. A lot of people didn't go. Like I ate several tickets, and I was just like, I'm going by myself, and nobody went with me. And I went by myself, and I just met a bunch of people and just did the skinny thing. And I was like, I think I might could do this. Like this is what I want to do,
dude. That's so sick. And being in the music industry, fortunately enough, I've been able to go to a lot of concerts over the last 3 years and see a lot of different artists, and I've probably seen Co Wetzel the most in my life.
Really?
Like dead ass. And every single time, motherfucker does not disappoint.
He does not disappoint. He's my hunting buddy. We go hunting together.
Really?
Yeah. So we've got some mutual friends, and he has some property up there with a bunch of my buddies up in Illinois with that gear. Yeah. So we'll go up deer camp, hang out together, man. He's a good time. Co's a good buddy, man. And,
good shot.
Was that?
Good shot.
Yeah, man. He's killed some great bucks up there. He killed one the day after I left, and I was mad I wasn't there for it, the retrieval and all for it. But yeah, man. Dude, Co's a great hunter, and just a great dude, man. Yeah. He's a salt of the earth, sweetheart.
Yeah. Is he a lot different, like behind closed doors, than he would be like out on stage?
Well, of course, that's a lot of artists, man, and not in particular Co, but a lot of times you see this, wild whiskey drinking badass, and you have to put on some kind of persona or ego absolutely. To put on it.
You can't do it 100% of the time. It's impossible.
No, but dude, when I hang out with Co, man, he's always been just like laid back. Like we just went. I'll never forget. We watched the CMAs together in this hole in the wall dive bar in Minden, Illinois. It's called The Bar. The bar is called The Bar. Yeah. And we sit at the bar, and dude, like, it's one of those bars, like, it's a challenge for me to spend $100 in there. I can't hardly spend $100.
Love it.
It's awesome. And so we sat there and we had dinner, and he was asking me about it. I was like, who's that person? Who's that? And like, we talked about the CMAs and stuff. And man, we just sit there, and he just like chilled back, and like, you would have never guessed that this guy could, is big enough to be at the CMAs if he wanted to be, and or should be, in his own right. But it was cool, just like he was content, and I was content, like sitting in town, not going to the after parties, not everything.
Well, yeah, and he seems very down to earth.
Man, he's a beautiful soul, man. I love that guy.
Yeah, and I honestly, now that you point that out, he doesn't show up to award shows. He could. He's definitely big enough, but he don't.
Right. Yeah, man, and that was the deal. Is like, some of those guys, man, they've been kind of not really shadow banned, but they just haven't been given the they're some of the outlaws, some of the few outlaws left, and Co's one of those guys, man, and it doesn't. You know, some people get the wrong persona of him. He's just a great, solid, wholesome dude.
Yeah, no, dude. Yeah, and I'm super talented. I mean,
Yeah,
he's versatile as fuck, dude. Like
Yeah,
he can do anything.
if you don't think that guy's
Yeah.
sing, you need to go listen to some
Dude, I
recordings.
saw a video. This probably 10 years ago. This video was taken, but he was singing some George Strait and just nailing it, bro.
Yeah,
and I'm
man.
you just assume that he just does like the rock country and that stuff. Dude,
Yeah,
he can
he can
sing
sing
a
anything.
traditional country song and sing the hell out of it, bro.
Yeah, man, he's such a talent, man. He's one of my favorite voices in music.
Yeah, so I've seen that you've been doing a lot of these hunting retreats and stuff.
Yeah, man.
So tell me like the process of like you're going there to play. Are you hunting too? Who you hanging out with?
Yeah, man. So I've been on a lot of hunts. Like I went and with my buddies over at Ag Gear, and we went up to Illinois. Shout out to my buddy Tad Peters up at South Fork. So we went and did that one in Illinois. I took my buddy Rocker. Me and Rocker went hunting back in October. That was a fun experience because it's funny. The last couple of years we've hung out on the same weekend every year because it's his off season and I got time to hunt and stuff. So we call it our broversary. So for our broversary, we went up to Illinois to Tad's and South Fork and with my Ag Gear bunch, and then I went back a few weeks later and went and hunted with Co and a bunch of those guys. I didn't get anything this year, but saw a lot of great deer up there. And then yeah, man. Then I went on a duck hunt down in Arkansas. I played a duck camp show down in Yellow Creek. Mm-hmm. Shout out to my boys at Yellow Creek down at Lake Millwood, Arkansas, which I love doing that every year. It's right before opening weekend. They do the first drawing of like all their blinds, their hunting camp, and they put up a big tent, and it's just a big backwoods party. They'll be like. They'll invite like 75 people, but like 300 will show up.
Damn.
And it's just like the craziest backwoods party. I love it. That's one of my favorite ones to do every year. So yeah. So and then this year I got to go hunt with them too. So and I think we're going to do that every year. Me play a show and go hunt with them, and we just have a blast, man.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And then I went to just got back from Cadillac Creek. I actually went to Beech Grove Hunting Club, hunted down there. It was a fun one up North Arkansas right before the freeze, and we killed a few ducks, but they just hadn't got there yet. And then went down to Amarillo, Texas, and that's one of my favorite retreats that I've been on. We went down to Cadillac Creek down to Amarillo. My buddy Toby Brolin, he's good friends with Co, so I met him through a bunch of guys who. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. I went down. It was me, my buddy Ryan Lambert took me to meet a bunch of guys, and it was me and Dylan Wheeler and Austin Meade and them Dirty Roses, and we all went down and we wrote a few songs down there, but we mainly just hunted. And me and Austin would break off and go coyote hunting and stuff. And man, we killed a bunch of ducks, a bunch of coyotes, and I hadn't been down to Amarillo, Texas since then. So Dusty Black hollered at me. He's like, "Hey man, we're putting this retreat together this year. Would you want to go?" And I was like, "Yeah, man." And we went down there and had a blast. And we had my buddy Jake Gardner and Clayton Shea and Tyler Farr and a bunch of us went down there. And we wrote some cool songs. And we got some right and done, but we mainly just partied and had a good time. And I was the one getting everybody up every morning to go hunting, and because I take it pretty seriously. But
yeah,
what
man. Time are you guys getting up after the partying and stuff?
It depends on if we go to bed. Yeah, man, we would go to bed about, I don't know, I was going to bed about 1:30, 2:30, and waking up at 5:30, 5:45.
That, just a little cat nap.
That got old real quick.
Yeah.
When I got back, I just died. I died in the bed. But yeah, man, and we get up at 5:45, and then we have to be at the blind at 7. And of course, I'm banging and clapping. Yeah. Everybody get your ass up. It's time to go hunting,
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's so cool. That's so cool. So 2025, I'm expecting it to be a big year for myself. You got a lot of big things coming.
Yeah, man.
Can we expect some new music soon?
Hopefully, yeah, man. Hopefully in the next few months we got to get in the studio pretty soon. But yeah, man. I mean, I'm really excited to get some of these new songs. I got some songs I'm really excited about. A lot of songs I've been teasing. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are like, "When are you gonna put this out? When are you gonna put that one out?" So,
any big events you're playing?
Yeah, man. I'm opening up for Randy Houser in Pennsylvania in April. We got Key West Songwriter Fest in May. Near to the end of this month, I'm going out to do a big songwriter show in February. At the end of February, out in Utah, and then I'm getting to play Jeffrey Steele's Foundation show March 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be a good one, and then yeah, man, and there'll be a lot more stuff in between. So
when people are visiting Nashville, or just want to come out and see what you're all about, where can they see you play?
Man, I play if I'm in town. I've got a great gig over the local. Man, Jeff Reed has been so kind to me. Great friend. So I play over the local every Saturday, Sunday. Saturdays 1 to 4, Sunday 2 to 5 with my good buddy Davis Luce, and we call it the Lil'Skinny Show.
Love it. Turn
up Saturdays, hangover Sundays, and we have a good time. That's if I'm in town. But what's so cool about Jeff? He's been so gracious that if I have to leave town for 3 or 4 weeks at a time, when I come back, my gig's still there. So I'm not always there, but if I'm in town, I'll be posting. Y'all come by and see me at the local with my good buddy Davis.
That's awesome. Well, I want to say cheers.
Hey, cheers, my friend.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Y'all go check out Lil'Skinny on Spotify, Instagram, whatever it is. He's entertaining. You don't have to just listen to his music. You can just follow him, and you'll have a blast. Skinny, my man. Thanks for coming on, dude.
Thank you, brother.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.